Gaza's hospitals are the target. It's a relatively well-known fact that Israeli forces have attacked the overwhelming majority of hospitals in Gaza and have launched hundreds upon hundreds of strikes on medical services in the enclave. Whenever anyone mentions this fact publicly, they'll get Israel apologists babbling about human shields and absurdly trying to claim that there are Hamas bases in all the hospitals. But all these talking points are invalidated by the fact that we've seen multiple reports from doctors documenting Israeli forces actually entering hospitals they've attacked and destroying all the individual pieces of medical equipment in those facilities, one by one. The latest of such reports appears in the Greek media from a specialist surgeon named Christos Georgalas, who was at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza from April to May of this year. According to Machine Translation, Georgalas calls Israel's onslaught a war mainly against children and describes horrific injuries that Israeli munitions have been inflicting upon young Palestinians. Georgalas also describes repeated Israeli attacks on the hospital where he was working, including the following, quote, "A Spanish colleague told me that when the Israelis came to the hospital where the MRI machine was, they tried to destroy everything. But the MRI machine is a huge machine. It's like a car. Even if you shoot it, it can be repaired. So they brought in a specialist engineer to permanently destroy it. Because even if a bomb went off next to it, it could still be repaired. They had to bring in a specialist who knew the heart of the machine to make it non-functional. And that's exactly what he did last February. In our hospitals, the Israelis went through the wards that were the incubators and systematically broke them, one by one. The incubators, with a crowbar. This has been recorded by my colleagues. The hospital where I worked was occupied by Israelis for 2 months, in February and March 2024. The doctors who had remained in the hospital were tortured. They were lined up one by one and beaten. A total of around 80 of them were kidnapped. Of these, we do not know where 40 are or if they are alive. They killed many on the spot." End quote. Because Israel has been blocking journalists from entering the Gaza Strip, doctors have largely become the de facto reporters on the ground there. We saw another report documenting Israel's pattern of systematically destroying individual pieces of medical equipment back in February of this year, this time at the Indonesian hospital in northern Gaza. Doctors Without Borders emergency coordinator Carolyn Seguin reported the following, quote, "There is no health system anymore in the northern part of Gaza. Kamal Adwan Hospital has been razed, while Al-Shifa, Al-Adwa, and Indonesian hospitals are seriously damaged and only partially functioning. We were utterly shocked to observe that in Indonesian hospital, every medical machine seemed to have been deliberately destroyed. They were smashed to pieces, one by one, to make sure no medical care could be provided anymore. You have to ask, what is the motivation of such action? These machines are made to save people's lives, mothers, fathers, children. It's devastating to see the state of these hospitals." End quote. In April of this year, Seguin's report on the Indonesian hospital was corroborated by an emergency physician named Clayton Dalton, who wrote the following for The New Yorker, quote, "Sultan led me upstairs to the ICU, where wind blew through broken windows. He wanted to show me something that he had discovered after Israeli forces left the hospital. He pointed to a cardiac monitor near the wall. It appeared to have a bullet hole in its screen. Next to it was an EKG machine whose screen had been smashed. We entered a large storage room in the corner of the ICU, which was crammed with medical devices, ultrasound machines, IV pumps, dialysis machines, blood pressure monitors. Each had apparently been destroyed by a bullet, not in a pattern one would expect from random shooting, but rather methodically. I was stunned. I couldn't think of any possible military justification for destroying life-saving equipment." End quote. Indeed, there is no possible military justification for destroying life-saving medical equipment. They were destroyed so that they could not be used to save lives. Israel has been systematically destroying Gaza's healthcare infrastructure with the goal of making it uninhabitable, so that the territory can be seized by Israel. That's 3 separate accounts describing Israeli forces systematically destroying medical equipment in Gaza, from doctors who'd stand nothing to gain from lying about such a thing. The evidence is too overwhelming to deny. There were no Hamas fighters hiding in the MRI machine. There were no tunnels in the incubators. No arms stockpiles in the EKG machine. Israel has been lying about Hamas hiding in hospitals this entire time. Hamas was never the target. Hospitals are the target. Healthcare is the target. That's established far beyond any reasonable doubt by now.